She arrived in Broward County as change was taking root, a time when Black residents were still barred from hospitals. The Black Beach was only accessible by boat, and Broward Boulevard divided Black and white communities. Through stories of pioneers like Dr. Sistrunk, Dr. Mizell, Eula Johnson, and James Hill, and through the voices of Bahamian and Southern Black families who built a foundation here, Dr. Kitty Oliver chronicled it all. This is Black in Broward, and this is the story of race, resilience, and the power of conversation.
My name is Dr. Kitty Oliver. I'm a veteran journalist, author, oral historian, and I've been chronicling the history and cultural diversity of this area since the early 1970s. I moved to South Florida, Broward County, and began to see how the mushrooming diversity was affecting and transforming the area.
As Broward County grew and changed, Dr. Oliver saw the need to record the voices shaping its future.
Caribbean influence has always been strong because of the proximity, but the influx of Blacks from other parts of the South was equally strong. We had waves of people moving in, first Bahamians mixing with Black Southern Americans moving from Georgia and Alabama and northern Florida, all looking for a better life and coming down here and beginning to work in the fields and picking and packing and shipping produce, and then settling and making a community, building homes and beginning to have businesses and a school and creating the foundation for the community we see here today. When I moved here, Broward Boulevard was the dividing line between the Black community and the white community. I moved into that section and began to see what Jim Crow had done in limiting the opportunities for people living here. But on the other hand, what triumph of will and spirit had done to build a community that is held together from the time I first came to the area to now. What has made this area so dynamic is there has, from the beginning, been that tension in some ways, but also negotiation between Caribbean cultures and native-born African-American Southern cultures to figure out ways to blend and to coexist. That first wave of Bahamians blending with African-Americans created the foundation culture, and then other Caribbean cultures coming in later added to that mix. I thought it was really important to begin to capture some of the memories and the stories of people who had been living here for a while, and then new people who were moving in, adding layers and waves of experience to transform the community. When I came to this area, I was struck by some of the names that kept surfacing with such importance.
Dr. Sistrunk and Dr. Mizell were medical pioneers. Providence Hospital was the only place Black residents could receive care when the white hospitals turned them away.
Dr. James Sistrunk and his work at Providence Hospital and Dr. Von D. Mizell were pillars of the Black Fort Lauderdale because of the centralized health care that he was able to provide at a time, remember, when there were not resources available often outside of the Black community, where there were people who wouldn't be treated by any white doctors, wouldn't be taken into hospitals. This community doctor was able to keep people alive and keep people thriving for the community to grow.
Eula Johnson, the first woman president of the Fort Lauderdale NAACP, led the beach wait-ins with Dr. Mizell. James Hill guided Black businesses and civic growth through segregation.
Before the Civil Rights Movement and the Civil Rights Act, Dania Beach became a gathering place for Black people in this county. And there was no road there. And the only way then you could get to this spot would be to take a boat that would ferry people. And the only time they at first were able to even get the boat would be on holidays, so maybe at 4th of July. We were able to get boats, and of course any other people who had boats that would take them back and forth, in order to at least celebrate on that plot. Black Chamber of Commerce and Liberia and Dania, they would get together and go to the city council to say, hey, you can't get there. In the 60s, a road was finally put in. Became a centerpiece around the civil rights movement here. Dr. Mizell and Eula Johnson were in the forefront with the NAACP and having the protest to desegregate the beaches, but also to desegregate all the other places and spaces and public spaces where Blacks had been excluded. It remains as a symbol of how people coalesce to try to make the best of things in the worst of conditions of Jim Crow, and also how they coalesced in order to really fight and protest for change, and change that did occur. And then to have that park now named for Dr. Mizell and for Eula Johnson is such a wonderful testimony to the past, as well as where we are now in the present, that here's a space that everyone can enjoy. The tourism industry is probably one of the most vital entities for helping historians, oral historians like me, to preserve the stories. The stories live among us and they serve a purpose for those of us who live here. But when people travel, and I travel a lot as well, I want to know, what are the people like there? How did that get started? What's the story behind that place? How can we tell the story to people who come from other places? If we didn't continue talking about Dr. Sistrunk and Dr. Mizell and Eula Johnson and James Hill and some of the other people who were at the foundation of this community, then we lose so much. What motivated me to do the race and change work I've been doing for all these decades has just been that, yes, we have these differences and we come from so many areas, but to see that the common threads and the common themes that kept showing up. How do you adjust to a new place? How do you fit in? What can you learn from and gain from that place? And what can you bring to it? So the more conversations we can have like that, the more vital and dynamic and, I think, hopeful our community can be.
Dr. Kitty Oliver has spent a lifetime preserving the voices of Broward's past and inspiring future generations through storytelling, music, and dialogue. To learn more about her Race and Change oral history archive, visit kittyoliveronline.com.